Hey, welcome to After the Credits. It's the 12th best show to watch while stoned, based on a recent poll that nobody took and I just made up. So today, we're going to be reviewing Elysium, We're the Millers, and then we're going to have This Movie is Perfect for The Dark Knight. So stay tuned, all that's coming your way.
Now it's time to start the show.
Elysium is a sci-fi drama directed by Neil Blomkamp, as you'll know as the director of District 9. And it follows a character named Max, who is an ex-convict with dreams of going to this futuristic city of Elysium, where all the rich people live. They don't have to worry about disease or poverty or any of that shit we have to worry about on Earth. Because apparently that's ravaged everything. Whole planet's just kind of fucked over. There's poverty and war and diseases just going all about. And Max has always wanted to go there with his sort of girlfriend Frey, played by Alice Braga, but he's never had the money to do it, so he decides to get himself a job instead of going about doing criminal activities. One day when he's exposed to radiation on the job, he finds out he has 5 days left to live, and the only way to survive is to go to Elysium and use one of their med pods or whatever to heal himself of any disease that he has. But immigration is kind of a big problem in Elysium. A lot of people down in Los Angeles try to get up to Elysium, but Defense Secretary Delacourt, played by Jodie Foster, is in charge of keeping them out. She uses a lot of terrible means to do that, shooting them down, killing kids, whatever, it doesn't matter, just as long as the ends justify the means to her. Max finds a way up there if he's willing to steal information from the owner of his former company. And to do that, he gets some cybernetic enhancements that make him really strong, really fast, and it turns him into basically a human flash drive. He can download information and upload it from his brain. When he gets to Elysium, he finds a lot of opposition as an agent named Kruger, played by Sharlto Copley, is out to exterminate him. And it really comes to a fantastic finish. I'm not going to spoil what happens. You can probably figure it out, but either way, I don't want to be the one who ruins it in case you couldn't predict it. Now, the movie is really beautiful looking. Like, the opening shots, they look terrible. The city of Los Angeles has been ravaged, but it shows these amazing wide shots and like Google Earth kind of views to show you that everything's kind of fucked up. It just looks great. And then on Elysium, it has another like really uniform and clean looking environment. It's a nice juxtapose that goes between the two environments, how one's really fucked up and one's really clean. They both work really well as opposites, and they show you just how dynamic these two worlds are. Another thing that's really great about Elysium is it's written very well. Story starts off, it has Max being some wisecracking asshole, and sure, he's still a wisecracking asshole at the end, but he learns to care about something other than his own personal needs. The villains are very unambiguously evil, so it's really easy to hate them, and they're all very interesting. Sharlto Copley, I didn't think could play a villain, but he's really creepy and just sort of sinister. Delacourt is more of like a political sort of villain, so she works in more underhanded ways, and they both are just really great villains that work so well as parallel structures to each other. This movie has something to say, and that's not a lot of what you get in a summer movie. Most of the summer movies have been about terrorism so far, but this is a movie that makes statements about immigration and how ex-cons are treated in today's society, and healthcare even. It's not afraid to touch on these subjects that a lot of people just kind of overlook, and it's really nice to see that Neil Blomkamp isn't afraid to explore these kinds of areas. But he also delivers a really great movie. The action in this is amazing. Everything looks so great, as I've said. The special effects are stellar, and he dreams up these amazing alien guns that are just super awesome to look at. And the action scenes are really well done. They get shorter and shorter as the movie goes along, so I guess that's kind of disappointing in a way. But they're all really done so well, whether it's a fist fight or a firefight, everything just looks really good, and the action never becomes the main focus of the movie, but it just accents everything so well. What I don't really like about this movie, though, is as smart as it is, it can be dumb sometimes. Matt Damon gets some robot enhancements, and to my count, 3 times, people tried to physically restrain him. Now, I would never try to physically restrain Matt Damon on a normal day, but if he was part cyborg, you can bet your ass I wouldn't go near him. These machines that can cure all diseases, I'm okay with that, but you need like a DNA encoding. It's burned onto your skin and it reads you as a citizen. But for a government base, you just need a 4-digit PIN to get through the doors. Now, these med bays, they're pretty standard from what I understand. They're in every house in Elysium. They're like a fucking dishwasher, and yet you need a DNA encoding to use it? Yeah, I get that, but why is it that the base is just so low security? You need a 4-digit PIN? You'd think you'd need like a retina scan and fingerprints and to sing your favorite Bob Dylan song. But no, you don't get that. It's just, well, you got the number, go through. That's kind of dumb for me. If it seems like I'm nitpicking on some things, it's because I really am. There's not a lot of things that are really bad with this movie. I think its pacing is a little too quick because it feels like there's at least half an hour more of this movie there could have been. But other than that, I can't really see a lot wrong with it. It's probably my favorite movie that's come out this summer. I still really love Iron Man 3, but this one is definitely up there. So, you should definitely go see Elysium. It's a great movie, it's a solid 9 out of 10, and you're not gonna see a movie this smart in theaters, really.
Furious 6.
Star Trek Into Darkness.
No, that's not a smart movie. That's a dumb movie.
It's a good movie.
No, but it's dumb.
We're the Millers is a comedy starring Jason Sudeikis, Jennifer Aniston, and Emma Roberts, as long as some other people you don't really care about. It's about this guy named David, who is a small-time drug dealer in Denver, and he takes a job where he has to transport a ton of drugs from the Mexican border. And in order to do that, he figures the best way is to get a fake family, because no one questions families at the border. So he hires a stripper named Rose, Jennifer Aniston, a runaway girl named Casey, and some dumb virgin named Kenny who lives in his building. And they all have a nice family vacation down to Mexico to get those drugs. When they get there, things kind of turn south when they find out it's a lot more drugs than they thought it would be, about 2 tons. And it turns out it's not their drugs to begin with. David's boss set him up to steal drugs from a Mexican drug lord, and now they're on the run from these people as well as the law to try to get across back to the US in order to make their deadline. I think I'm done kind of grading comedies on the same scale I grade a lot of other movies. It seems like nowadays a comedy doesn't have to be a good movie anymore. So I'm just gonna say, this movie was funny. I laughed a lot in the theater. Jason Sudeikis, Jennifer Aniston, everyone really delivers their lines just so perfectly. And unlike in, say, The Campaign, they actually have funny lines to deliver as opposed to just trying to deliver something that's not really that good. 7.5 out of 10. Alright, this movie is perfect. The Dark Knight.
It's not. Sorry. A lot of people try and tell you that this movie, The Dark Knight, is perfect. It's not. This movie is not perfect. Now, I have watched The Dark Knight again recently, but when I first saw it, I loved it. Everyone loved it. I still really like the movie. But it's not a perfect movie. And when I was rewatching it, I made a list of all the things that I noticed were not perfect. Number 1, opening scene, the Joker robs a bank and a school bus comes in and he escapes. How does no one notice the school bus pulling out in broad daylight from a bank into a line of school buses that just so happened to be passing by at that time? I get that he planned it for that, but that's a little too, perfect. Next, this isn't a movie about Batman fighting the Joker. This is a movie about Batman fighting dogs. Opening scene with Batman doing Batman stuff, he's attacked by dogs, and he has to go to Lucius and say, hey, I need new armor so I have more flexibility. Also, how does it handle dogs? So Batman has to sacrifice protection from dogs for the ability to punch dogs. And then in the end, when he finally fights the Joker, he actually has to fight some dogs. He throws the dogs to their death, and he's come to his grand arc. Batman has finally learned to fight a dog. Ooh, another thing. Harvey Dent in this movie is one of the worst characters I've seen in a movie. Because he just does nothing but whine. He has a cool opening scene, but after that he's just like, oh, my girlfriend died, I'm sad. Oh, something terrible happened to me. Something terrible's happened to everyone in Gotham. Everyone's family is dying because of the Joker. And he goes, it happened to me though, that's not fair. They turned one of their coolest characters in the movie into a completely whiny douche. Another thing, Batman falls a lot in this movie. I counted, he falls off 3 buildings. Once when he jumps onto Scarecrow's van, another when he and Rachel fall out of his penthouse when the Joker attacks, and he miraculously doesn't die. They leave a dent in a fucking car, and no one is dead. He did nothing to stop. You would think he would pull out a grappling hook and swing away. Doesn't happen. Batman just straight up hits a car and doesn't die with his girlfriend. And Joker's up there probably killing people. Like, he just gets out. Batman is right at the base of this penthouse, the only exit, and the Joker got away? I don't understand. Maybe he went to the hospital because he broke both his legs somehow, falling onto a taxi. I digress. So the third fall, Batman has been shot in the stomach and he's tackled Harvey Dent off a building. Then he's fallen. How does he survive that fall? That fall killed Harvey Dent. Batman survives it, and 8 years later he has no cartilage in his knee because he has taken so many drastic falls on those things. Like, this is the most unsafe guy in the world. Alright, movie does something else pretty stupid. It has one of the worst car chases in film history. I am 100% against the people that like the car chase in this movie. It made no sense from the editing. With the Joker pursuing the convoy that Dent is in, could not follow it. You can never tell where Batman is at any point until he runs up and catches an RPG attack. That shit was flawed. They needed another editor. They needed to shoot better. That shit just looked bad. And Gordon faking his whole death for that thing makes no sense. Like, Joker, shoots Gordon and Gordon fakes his death. He's just like, oh, I faked my death so my family would be okay. You could have just put them in protective custody. They're kind of your family. Doesn't need to fake his death. And then, really, he shows himself at the end anyway. It doesn't matter that he faked his death, because everyone knows, oh, Gordon's alive again. This one is for you people that like this movie so much. You are not the smartest bunch, because you were all like, oh, the Joker's so great. He never really planned anything. He was just doing crazy shit, and that's why he's so cool. No, the Joker planned everything in this movie. He planned it all down to a minute, stupid detail, which shouldn't have worked out so well anyway. All of his plans should not work so well. Like, they just happen by magic, really. Like, he gets himself captured on purpose after an elaborate car chase that he planned. He planned an elaborate car chase, gets captured because he planned it, blows up a phone that he planned to put into a guy's stomach. Like, he just knows how to get everything to work. He intentionally antagonized Batman so he would get his head smashed into glass, pick up a piece of glass, grab a cop, get a phone, blow up a person who just so happens to be in a holding tank in the same building. Could have been somewhere else, really. Gotham probably has other precincts. It's a pretty big city. Okay. Also, how is the Joker transporting so much gasoline in this movie? Like, so much shit blows up in this movie. He blows up Rachel, he blows up the building Harvey Dent's in, he tries to blow up 2 boats. How is he moving around this many barrels of like crude oil or whatever, and no one noticing? There's like, oh, there's a lot of oil and gasoline moving around here. Could be part of that terrorist plot going on. Nah, let's just let it go, Bill Bob. Two-Face gets half his face burned off, and he spends the rest of the movie speaking very clearly. I'm sorry, his lips got burnt off. He should have been talking like Sylvester Stallone, like, you shouldn't be able to understand him so well. And the effect form looks terrible. It looks like Pirates of the Caribbean with like the skeleton pirates. He looks like that, except worse. Because in this realistic, great shot movie, like the movie's shot well, and then you see like this stupid CG face, and you're like, why didn't you just do makeup? You could have made this look pretty fucking good, but you didn't want to put your actor in makeup. And Mr. Reese is planning to tell everyone, oh, Bruce Wayne's Batman, and then he stops. They never follow up on this ever again. Like this is also a flaw in the next movie, because they just never go, no, Mr. Reese, we have a court order, tell us who Batman is. They never do that. They should have done that. The fact that they didn't is insane. He should have been arrested for having this information that could save lives and not giving out, because that's obstruction of justice. Batman is a known vigilante. If you know who he is, you are obstructing justice by not telling anyone. Also, the Joker, couldn't you just tell everyone about Dent? Because at the end, they say, Harvey Dent didn't kill those people. Batman did. Couldn't they have just had Joker say, well, actually, that's not true. I know for a fact that Harvey, like, he could have said something. It would be so easy for that to happen. But they just ignore it for the sake of the plot. Like, they're so focused on the plot that they actually ruin the integrity of it by not having this character who they've shown to be a son of a bitch. They don't have him act like a proper son of a bitch. And, yep, that's about it. With one final note. They say that Harvey Dent has to, his memory has to be preserved in the movie. Like, oh, if they find out he killed these people, all of his people he put away will go free. Not how that fucking works. I've looked at the law a little bit. Turns out if a lawyer goes crazy and like shoots a guy, they're not gonna let everyone he convicted go free. Go figure. So this entire movie is built on a stupid lie for a stupid premise based off faulty understanding of what the law is. And really, it's just part of the reason why this isn't a perfect movie. I mean, I still like it. It's a good movie, but just stop sucking its dick, Well,
that was after the credits. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Next week, I'll be reviewing Percy Jackson 2, Sea of Monsters, and Planes. Really, Ruben? What the fuck? Really?